how about this? What would the repercussions be for Lynch and Shanahan if they stick with Garoppolo and miss the playoffs? And this is assuming they don't really take a quarterback in round 1, round 2. They don't really have a future. They stick with Jimmy for real and say, we're going to kick that can down the road a year. What do you think the repercussions would be if this plays out that way?
Oh, this is tough. Someone's going to take a fall. I don't know who it's going to be. Kyle Shanahan will always be associated with not scouting Mahomes or Watson in the 2017 draft. I'm not trying to beat a dead horse by any means, but he did that. And you can forgive him for it, but you shouldn't forget it. And part of the job, part of life in general, is learning from your mistakes. Right now, there are 5, 6 very talented quarterbacks in the draft. Deshaun Watson's available. Matthew Stafford was available earlier this season. It's clear as day the 49ers are not committed to Jimmy Garoppolo long-term. So what is the excuse of not finding your long-term answer at the position right now? Right now, when there's an abundance of talent available, a quarterback that can step in and lead this team for the next 10 years and just completely take away all sorts of questions regarding the quarterback position. It's a borderline fireable offense to me, whether that's going to be John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan. I don't know. And again, this is coming from the place of they decided to run it back with Jimmy Garoppolo and it completely backfired. If that hypothetical situation transpires and comes about in real life, wow, I'll be at a loss of words. I will.
It will be tough to, totally save face if this season does look like it did in 2020, whether Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't perform like he did in 2019 or he gets hurt and they have to finish the season with Josh Rosen, Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, whatever the backup situation, Andy Dalton, whatever that is, that'd be tough to sell. But I don't think Shanahan would necessarily be fired after this season unless they pull a Jaguars or Jets this season, and I don't think that would happen. But I think John Lynch might be in trouble just because I think John Lynch would be, of the two, would be the first to get the boot just because I think Kyle Shanahan is the public face and people believe in him. And there will always be that excuse. He still hasn't had his guy, even though Jimmy Garoppolo would then be his guy if he rolls with him in 2021 because he's stuck with them over Stafford, over trading assets. But I still don't think they'll be in that situation unless things really go like they did in 2020, but even worse. I think they'll be competitive. And if they go 7-9, that still buys both another season, in my opinion, because of just that 2019 excellent season.
Yeah, I agree with Mav. I think it's a 17 game schedule.
Yeah, 7-10, sorry.
7-10, 8-9, 9-8. If they do any of that and miss the playoffs, I don't think either one will get fired. But I think there will be repercussions. And I'm not sure that really either one will get fired no matter what happens next year unless they win like 2 or 3 games. Which I don't expect to happen. The roster's too good. But what I want to say is I do think both of them would be on the hot seat in the sense that, and the hot seat is a funny thing. It's not necessarily what ownership wants to do. It's more of like fans. It's like, I just feel like the Niners, Lynch and Shanahan in particular would lose a lot of goodwill with the fan base. A lot of the fan base says, you know what, give Kyle Shanahan his quarterback. He still hasn't had his quarterback. They see all of his excuses. But if he lets this linger another year, I think even his biggest fans will be like, I can't defend it. I don't like Jimmy. You don't like Jimmy. And you stuck with him for year 5. I just can't defend it anymore. So, yeah, I think they think they're playing it safe by keeping Jimmy Garoppolo. No one can fault you. Let Jimmy Garoppolo fail on his own. Don't try to trade him before he shows he's not good enough. Yeah, but if you play it safe and everyone's expecting Jimmy Garoppolo to be mediocre now. Everyone's expecting you to miss the playoffs. And if you do that, it looks like you misjudged the situation and you wasted another opportunity, another year to at least develop the guy. If they draft the young guy now, he could be ready to go in 2022 and you could win with him. But if you wait until 2022, now you're starting over in year 6, starting over. Is that yeah. I think a lot of people will be like, you know what? I misjudged Kyle Shanahan. The narrative around him would change. And now you're like an 0-4 start to 2022 to getting fired. That now you're that close. So
yeah,
that's why they have to get a young guy.
Yes.
Because a young guy just extends your leash at least a year,
Yes.
especially if you're an offensive coach where you can say, I just need to work with him. And once he gets more experience, we're going to get rolling. So if they get that second round pick, that first round pick, that does extend any hot seat, in my opinion, at least a year, unless you're Adam Gase.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you, Maverick.
What happens though if they don't draft a quarterback? They bring back Jimmy. Their number 2, their backup this year is Rosen. Jimmy plays 10 games, goes 5-5, gets hurt. Rosen comes in, kills it, goes 7-0, has a Jimmy Garoppolo in 2017 performance. Then he's a free agent. That's the end of his 4th year. Can they pick up his 5th-year option, or does that even exist anymore? He's been on the practice. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
7-0, so they're 12-5, making the playoffs
because of Rosen.
Yeah, well, then
what happens?
You franchise him and have some fun right there.
So you actually do the right thing as opposed to doing what they did to Jimmy, which was giving him the 6-year deal for $135 million and a parade and a pony and all of that, a piñata.
If that happened, Grant, I'll give you $5. I'll buy you a beer.
But all right, one more thing to add. You guys laid everything out as far as if the 49ers go 7-10, 17-game season, 8-9, whatever it may be, they're not going to be drafting 12th overall. They're in such an ideal spot right now to find that quarterback. So I keep asking the question, if not now, when?
Yep.
You're not going to be drafting this high in the future. You shouldn't be at least. And if you are, it's another red flag. So
what's interesting though is what McShay is projecting. 4 quarterbacks to go with the top 4 picks, and then another one who's going to go in the top 10. So 5 in the top 10. That's unprecedented. And that means if you're taking a quarterback at 12, you're taking the 6th quarterback in round 1. That's unprecedented. So I understand how the Niners might feel like, man, like, yeah, it's a good year to take a quarterback, but since the cap went down, everyone wants a quarterback. And now you're really going to have to reach for the guy you want. Instead of maybe reaching for Jones, who I like, who's 20th on my big board, but I got to get at 9, I can just stick at 43 and get Kyle Trask, who's 43 on my big board, something like that. That's the only thing I'm saying. Just the nature of the year.
The one thing, if McShay's draft holds true, then at least for the first 5 picks, then the Panthers trade up for Justin Fields. Teddy Bridgewater's available. Then there's a lot of other teams moving around. Denver, I guess, is committing to Drew Lock. That creates Fitzpatrick is available, whatever. I don't know if they're committing.
Denver's committing to Drew Lock like the Niners are committing to Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, if they're trading back out of getting Mac Jones and allowing – that says something already. If John Elway and his committee decides to not pick Mac Jones because they love that type of quarterback.
Yeah, with the white kind. I'm just kidding.
I don't quite know what you mean, but
sorry, I don't know where that came from. All right, now we're gonna play a game. It's my game. Is it salvageable?